Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight. This Saturday evening, I'm Tracy Shilji joining you with all the top stories. Let's start with the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the centenary celebrations of the Patna High Court, suggests the use of technology to improve the quality of judgments. At the Advancing Asia Conference, IMF Chief Christine Lagarde appreciates reforms initiated by the Modi government, while the Prime Minister calls for IMF quotas to better reflect the share of emerging economies. Reserve Bank Governor Raghuram Rajan finds IIP numbers disappointing, says markets and central bank are comforted by the fiscal consolidation efforts of the government. SEBI cracks the whip on willful loan defaulters, says they will no longer be able to raise public funds through stocks and bonds. And China's central bank will not resort to excessive stimulus to improve growth, but will keep a flexible stance in the event of an economic shock. Top story this evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today unveiled a new railway project in Hajipur district of Bihar, calling Bihar a priority for the government. He said that the state's progress was key to India's progress. In fact, earlier Modi also attended the concluding function of the centenary celebrations of the Patna High Court.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is making a case for the judiciary to increasingly use technology. Addressing the closing ceremony of the Patna High Court centenary celebration, he said that the quality of argument and judgment will improve with the use of technology.
हमारा बार, हमारी बेंच, हमारी कोर्ट, इसको हम कितने ज्यादा टेक्नो से भी बना सकते हैं, कितनी तेजी से हम डिजिटल सिस्टम को हमारी व्यवस्था में इंजेक्ट कर सकते हैं और उसके कारण क्वालिटी ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट, क्वालिटी ऑफ जजमेंट, स्पेस ऑफ द जजमेंट, इन सब में एक बहुत बड़ा आमूलचूल परिवर्तन आ सकता है.
Modi said the law not only had an important role in shaping the country's democracy, but it was the binding force that kept the country's diversity intact.
और इस प्रकार से इस पेशे से जुड़े हुए लोगों का एक बहुत बड़ा योगदान भारत के आजादी के आंदोलन से जुड़ा हुआ है और उसके बाद भी जब जब भारत में संकट आया, मूलभूत बातों पर संकट आया, ज्यादातर बार ने आवाज उठाई है, ज्यादातर न्यायालयों ने उसको एक नई ताकत देने का प्रयास है.
During the day-long visit to Bihar, the Prime Minister also visited Hajipur, where he inaugurated 2 rail-cum-road bridges in Patna and Munger. It was also Modi's first visit to the state after the assembly elections last year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also pitched today for quota reforms at the IMF that reflect global economic realities. Addressing a conference on advancing Asia that was co-hosted by India and the International Monetary Fund, Modi announced a new centre for capacity building on fiscal and monetary policy space for 6 countries in the region.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday said world bodies like IMF needs to reflect changes in the global economy and the rising share of emerging economies. Speaking at the India IMF conference Advancing Asia, Investing for the Future in New Delhi, Modi said India will continue to pursue its reform to transform agenda.
Even now, IMF quotas do not reflect the global economic realities. Change in quotas is not an issue of increasing the power of certain countries. It is an issue of fairness and legitimacy.
Appreciating India's position in the global economy, IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde called it the fastest growing economy whose star is shining bright in a volatile global scenario.
India faces an unprecedented opportunity for transformation, and as we all know, very important reforms have been undertaken under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. Think, for example, of Make in India, Digital India, and more even promising reforms yet to come. With that, India's star shines bright.
Lagarde also praised Prime Minister Modi for his various reform measures.
Asia has a lot to be proud of. It is the world's most dynamic region. Today accounts for 40% of the global economy, and over the next 4 years, even with slightly declining momentum, it stands to deliver nearly 2/3 of global growth.
Lagarde noted that the region's economy, notwithstanding the Asian crisis, had grown at an average of about 6% in the past 25 years. She urged Asian nations to employ growth-friendly monetary and fiscal policies to counter challenges posed by a fragile global economy. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Calling the Index of Industrial Production or IIP data disappointing, Reserve Bank Governor Raghuram Rajan today said that the economy is improving, but the process of recovery is volatile. Rajan, who attended the RBI board meet with Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, said that markets and the central bank were both comforted by the 3.5% GDP fiscal deficit target announced in the budget. The declining industrial output has prompted the industry to seek a rate cut by the RBI at its monetary policy review in April. On whether RBI would ease the monetary policy to boost growth, Rajan refused to reply, while stating that the headline number of 3.5% fiscal deficit target is a firm indication of the government's intent for fiscal consolidation.
Environment and hope created by both the initiatives taken in the budget as also the decision to stick to a certain level of fiscal discipline have both received a very positive nod.
I think the headline number which we have looked at and which I think is a firm indication of government intent on fiscal consolidation was the 3.5% number going forward. And I think both the markets, the board, as well as the RBI have been comforted by that.
Meanwhile, cracking the whip on willful loan defaulters, markets regulator SEBI today said that they will no longer be able to raise public funds through stocks and bonds. Defaulters will also be barred from taking up plum posts at listed companies. SEBI's restrictions are part of efforts to tackle bad loans hampering state-run banks. Under the law, willful defaulters are classified as firms or individuals who deliberately thwart repayment of dues to lenders. The move is expected to have a direct impact on beleaguered UB Group chairman Vijay Mallya as it disqualifies him from the various posts that he holds. According to the new rules, any company, its directors or promoters who have been declared as willful defaulters will be barred from taking control of another listed company. These restrictions will apply to every individual and company declared as a willful defaulter as per the Reserve Bank norms.
कोई भी व्यक्ति या संस्था विलफुल डिफॉल्टर डिक्लेयर हुई है रिजर्व बैंक के सिस्टम से, तब उस व्यक्ति को सिक्योरिटीज मार्केट में रिटेल से पैसा उठाने का हक नहीं होना चाहिए। तो हम उनको बार कर रहे हैं। आज ये निर्णय हुआ है कि वो मार्केट से पैसा, सिक्योरिटीज मार्केट से पैसा नहीं उठा सकते हैं। पहली बात। दूसरी बात ये कि वो किसी भी लिस्टेड कंपनी के बोर्ड में नहीं आ सकते हैं, कि वो कोई कंपनी नहीं प्रमोट कर सकते हैं, वहाँ उससे भी डिबार कर रहे हैं। तीसरी बात कि कोई भी जो हमारे इंटरमीडियरी हैं, जैसे ब्रोकर हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड है और जो इंटरमीडियरीज को हम जिनको लाइसेंस देते हैं, उसके लिए भी उनको फिट एंड प्रॉपर नहीं समझा जाएगा। इस 3 प्रकार के बंधन उन पर रखे गए।
Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate today questioned key aides of business tycoon Vijay Mallya over the 9,000 crore loan default by his long-grounded carrier Kingfisher Airlines. Media reports said that former Chief Financial Officer A. Raghunathan was questioned by ED officials. The ED had yesterday issued summons for appearance to Vijay Mallya, asking him to appear before the 18th of March. The liquor baron, who is out of the country meanwhile, today found support from some political leaders.
Former Prime Minister H.D. Deve Gowda on Saturday defended Vijay Mallya, whose group is charged with the loan defaults to the tune of over 9,000 crore rupees. Gowda said every airline is facing losses these days and there was no reason to target a businessman like Mallya.
Vijay Mallya was a person born in Karnataka, a reputed family. Yes, subsequently in business, there may be some area of mistakes. So the matter has been sufficiently discussed both on the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, on the floor of the House. So then where is the need further to go on? See, there is a pin down on this issue.
Malia is currently believed to be in London, and the government is facing questions as to how he was allowed to leave the country despite a lookout notice by the CBI.
I think it would be comic, were it not tragic, that such mysterious, strange explanations are being trotted out. The ultimate bottom line is that under the cynosure of the press, under court proceedings, under notices, under orders, a person is allowed to depart. And a very, very odd, lame, and we believe a cover-up excuse is trotted out that there was a defective lookout notice.
The ruling BJP at the centre has alleged that banks were pushed into giving 3,100 crore rupees loan to him and unfreezing his bank accounts in 2012.
देखिए, बिल्कुल बेसलेस एलिगेशंस हैं, इनको हम पूरी तरह से खारिज करते हैं। विजय माल्या को के बारे में हम ये पूछना चाहते हैं कि आपने 2012 में जब पूरी तरह से उनके जो अकाउंट्स थे उनको बैंकों ने फ्रीज कर दिया था, तो फिर आप यूपीए सरकार ने, मनमोहन सिंह जी ने और सोनिया और राहुल गांधी के इशारे पर क्यों आपने उनको बेल आउट पैकेज दिया?
On Wednesday, the government told the Supreme Court that Malia left India on March 2nd, following which the bench issued notice to him. In a series of tweets, Malia has claimed that he was not an absconder and was not fleeing from India. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
With a quick break here, we'll be back with more news. Do stay with us.
The splendid, grand and massive neo-Buddhist copper dome of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It gets its influence from stupa at Sanchi. The dome is more than twice the height of the rest of the building. The reinforced concrete shell of the outer dome began to be formed during the beginning of 1929. The last stone of the dome was laid on April 6, 1929. Hello and welcome. I'm Amritanshu Rai. You're watching Constitutionally Yours.
इस तरह का वातावरण बनाना पड़ेगा कि महिलाएं भी स्वयं आगे आए।
एमपी एमएलए की चिंता है कि शिक्षा डेमोक्रेसी में धीरे-धीरे आए या तेजी से आए।
क्यों नहीं हिंदुस्तान में कॉमन सिविल कोड लागू की जाए?
ये नहीं हो सकता कि सारी के सारी पॉपुलेशन एक सरीकी एक कल्चर में ढल जाए।
Join us as we try to understand contemporary issues related to the Constitution. Watch Constitutionally Yours on Rajya Sabha Television.
Jade was popular during Mughal era and gained prominence during Akbar's rule in 15th and 16th century. It came all the way from Iran and Central Asia in attractive colors. Since jade changed color when it came in contact with arsenic, they started utensils like plates, jars, bowls and even hookah with it, and thereby avoided getting poisoned by rivals.
Welcome back. Let's get to some more news now. And Mexican Foreign Minister Claudia Ruiz Massieu, in fact, today met her counterpart Sushma Swaraj in Delhi. Both leaders did a comprehensive review of the bilateral ties between the two countries and explored the possibility of elevating the relationship to a new level. The two ministers took up areas of mutual interest, including Indo-Mexican relations in politics, trade and finance. The agenda included talks on strengthening and widening the scope of bilateral ties and agreements on future visits. The Mexican foreign minister also renewed the invitation extended to her country's president, to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to visit Mexico in the near future. Massieu's two-day trip to India ends on Sunday. In more national news, 2 BSF jawans were killed and 4 others injured in a Naxalite encounter in Chhattisgarh's Kanker district today. The BSF was on a special operation in the interior forests of the district when a fierce gun battle broke out between the soldiers and the Naxals late on Friday night. 2 injured jawans, Vijay Kumar and Rakesh Nehra, died while being airlifted to Raipur. 2 of the other 4 injured soldiers are also very critical. Let's take you through some more national news updates now in Nationwide. Punjab Congress leaders met political strategist Prashant Kishore in the national capital today to brainstorm over plans for upcoming assembly polls. Congress had lost the last assembly elections despite declaring Punjab PCC chief Amrinder Singh as the chief ministerial candidate. The Trinamool Congress announced its candidates for the 70 assembly constituencies in Kerala. Yesterday, party chief Mamata Banerjee said that she will visit the state to expose what she called the unholy alliance between the Congress and the CPIM. The party plans to field its candidates in all 140 assembly constituencies in the state. Mamata is scheduled to attend 3 election rallies in Thiruvananthapuram, Kochi and Kozhikode from April. Chief of the Army's Northern Command, Lieutenant General NPS Hira, was appointed Deputy Chief of the Army Staff. He will assume office on the 14th of March. General Hira has a rich experience of counterinsurgency operations in Jammu and Kashmir and in the Northeast region. Former employees of Kingfisher Airlines continue to protest outside Kingfisher House. They said that they will approach the Supreme Court next week under their right to livelihood. The employees say that they have written to the Prime Minister seeking his intervention in the matter. Exile leaders from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir are blaming Pakistan for sheltering terrorists and using their territory as a launchpad for radicals and extremists. Speaking at an event on the sidelines of the 31st session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, POK leader Shaukat Ali Kashmiri said that the militant infrastructure is still intact in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. He also dismissed Pakistan's claims of fighting militants, stating that operatives of militant organizations like the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar walk freely in the region.
इस रीजन के अंदर अभी भी जो टेररिस्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है वो इंटैक्ट है और आज़ाद कश्मीर को हम बार बार कहते हैं कि एज लॉन्चिंग पैड फॉर द टेररिस्ट एक्टिविटीज़ यूज़ किया जा रहा है। मैं ये कहता हूँ कि टेररिस्ट जो है वो कश्मीर को ना तो आज़ाद करवा सकते हैं, चूँकि उनका आज़ादी का वो तो कहते हैं हम अल्लाह के लिए लड़ रहे हैं, हम इस्लाम के लिए लड़ रहे हैं, हम पाकिस्तान के लिए लड़ रहे हैं, तो कश्मीरियों का उनके साथ कुछ लेना देना नहीं है।
China's central bank won't resort to excessive stimulus to bolster growth, but will keep a flexible stance in the event of an economic shock, either in domestic or global scenario. The central bank also said that it is trying to keep liquidity flush to support an economy undergoing its most significant structural reforms in 2 decades.
China's central bank says it will not resort to excessive stimulus to step up growth, but will keep monetary policy flexible to counter possible economic shocks. The bank claimed it was trying to keep liquidity flush to support economy, but officials cautioned against excessive loosening that could increase downward pressure on the currency.
这是这个针对当前的这个表述，也是符合呢，大概从这个15年后半年呢到现在的这个实际的这样的一个状况，但是同时呢，我们也强调呢，这个货币政策呢历来是需要动态调整的。
China Banking Regulatory Commission has promised to promote the bank industry reforms while keeping risk under acceptable levels to support the real economy.
一是要促进银行业进一步提高服务实体经济的质量和效率，这是在政府工作报告当中明确提出的要求。比如，不断推进解决小微企业融资难、融资贵的问题。
The country's state-owned enterprises have also braced themselves for reforms focused on diversity of equities.
同时呢，在这种情况下呢，我们要加大股权多元化呀，包括积极推进发展混合所有制经济。
The government has set up a growth target of 6.5 to 7% in 2016, with a spate of soft data pointing to further weakness at the start of the year. The world's second largest economy expanded an annual 6.9% in 2015, its slowest rate in last 25 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
North Korea's military on Saturday threatened the US and South Korea as their joint military drills continued in South Korea. The Navy and Marine Corps, South Korean and US, conducted a large-scale amphibious landing drill on Saturday amid heightened tensions. The troops of the two countries had in fact started large-scale military exercises called the Nuclear War Moves last week in their annual test of their defenses against North Korea. The North's military issued a blistering note and said that it was prepared to counter the US and South Korean forces.
우리 군대는 적들의 평양 진격을 노린 반공화국 상륙 훈련에는 서울을 비롯한 남조선 전 지역 해방 작전으로 족집게식 타격 전술에는 우리식의 전격적인
We believe that by training together we grow stronger. And we believe that with strong alliances and partnerships in our area of responsibility, we bring peace and stability to this region.
And now let's get you some more international news updates in Global Buzz. Fragments from a missile fired by an Israeli aircraft killed a 10-year-old Palestinian boy in Gaza today. A statement by the Israeli military said that the aircraft had targeted 4 militant training camps belonging to the Hamas and no casualties were reported. The Arab League labelled Shiite Hezbollah a terrorist organization at a meeting on Friday. Tensions between the Sunni and Shiite Muslim powers have been on the rise as sectarian wars rage in Syria, Yemen and Iraq. The Arab League has become a forum for predominantly Sunni countries led by Saudi Arabia to air grievances with the regional Shiite power, Iran. Progressive rock legend Keith Emerson died on Friday at the age of 71. Police officials confirmed that he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. His death is being investigated as a suicide case. Emerson was considered as one of the top keyboard players of the progressive rock era. All right, let's change tracks now. Get you all the latest from the world of sports now in Sports Speed. India's campaign at the All England Badminton Championships came to a disappointing end with Saina Nehwal losing her quarter-final match. The world number 2 was stunned by Tai Yu Xing of Chinese Taipei 15-21, 16-21 in the quarter-finals. Earlier, B. Sai Praneeth, K. Srikanth and Sameer Verma all bowed out of the tournament after losing their respective second-round matches. Vishwanathan Anand pulled off a stunning win over Vasilin Topalov in the first round of the candidates tournament. The 5-time world champion won a nerve-wracking contest against Topalov of Bulgaria to go into an early lead in the tournament. Indian boxing star and former Olympic and World Championships bronze medalist Vijender Singh would look to continue his winning streak when he takes on Hungarian Alexander Horvath in his 4th professional bout in Liverpool. This would be Vijender's first fight of the year after 3 knockout wins last year. Crystal Palace reached their first FA Cup semi-final in 21 years by beating Championship side Reading 2-0. Palace, who are without a league win in 2016, scored 2 late goals through a Johan Cabayev penalty and a Fraser Campbell stoppage time strike. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.